These aren't just guns. They're symbols of power, rebellion, and unshakable cool. With a glint of steel and a slow, confident click, the revolver carved its legacy into history. Not quietly, but with thunder. You don't just hold one. You inherit an attitude, a legend, a story written in lead and grit. Behind each cold cylinder lies a tale of war, justice, crime, or survival. But only a few have risen above the rest. The most iconic revolvers ever made didn't just shape history. They rewrote it. They ruled the Wild West, defined the streets of Noir, and roared across the battlefield. Some are elegant, others are brutal, but all are unforgettable. So buckle in, keep your hand close to your holster, because we're about to count down the 12 legends that never missed their mark. Coming in with a bang, literally, is the 6-shooter that defined the Wild West. Introduced in 1873, the Colt Single-Action Army, also known as the Peacemaker, didn't just show up to the showdown. It was the showdown. This hour-in legend was the sidearm of choice for sheriffs, gunslingers, cowboys, and just about anyone looking to settle things the old-fashioned way, with a little lead and a lot of attitude. It was the U.S. Army's go-to, but let's be honest, everyone wanted one. Whether you were upholding the law or rewriting it, the Peacemaker was your trusty partner in crime or justice. Its sleek, rugged design and unmistakable sound turned it into a frontier fashion statement. Honestly, if revolvers had a Mount Rushmore, this one's face would be front and center, hat, mustache, and all. Iconic doesn't even cover it. This revolver didn't just make peace, it made history. Before the Peacemaker ever twirled into the scene, there was another star lighting up the holsters of history, the Colt 1851 Navy revolver. Think of it as the prequel to the Wild West blockbuster. Born in 1850 and sticking around until 1873, this cap and ball classic was the sidearm of choice for Civil War soldiers, frontier legends, and one particularly sharp-shooting gentleman named Wild Bill Hickok. And honestly, if it's good enough for Wild Bill, it's good enough for anyone. Chambered in .36 caliber, the Navy wasn't just pretty, it was precise. With a 6-shot cylinder, solid balance, and a surprisingly smooth trigger, this thing handled like a dream. Or a nightmare, depending on which side of the barrel you were on. Weighing in at just under 2.6 pounds, it was light enough to carry, but heavy enough to make a point. Reliable, refined, and ready for action. This revolver brought serious Navy-grade firepower to dry land. Now, let's fast forward from dusty saloons to crisp uniforms and polished boots. Enter the Smith & Wesson Model 10, a revolver so iconic, it's basically the blue-collar hero of handguns. Originally called the military and police model because subtlety is overrated, this wheel gun debuted in 1899 and never looked back. And it's been in production ever since. Over 6 million units and counting. That's not a revolver, that's a dynasty. This .38 Special 6-shooter wasn't just for show. It served on the hips of police officers, military personnel, and probably a few detectives with trench coats and mysterious pasts. It was reliable, easy to handle, and built like a tank in a tuxedo. Clean lines, no nonsense. The Model 10 didn't need fancy gimmicks. It showed up, did the job, and asked no questions. It's the Clint Eastwood stare of revolvers. Cool, consistent, and always ready to lay down the law. Next up is the revolver that showed up to the gunfight in a tailored suit, the Colt Python, introduced in 1955. This isn't just a firearm, it's a flex. Known as the Rolls-Royce of Colt revolvers, the Python didn't just shoot, it performed. We're talking buttery smooth trigger pull, razor-sharp accuracy, and curves so clean it could have been sculpted by Michelangelo if he were into .357 Magnums. Collectors drool over it, shooters rave about it. Bad guys? Yeah, they run from it. This sleek beast wasn't made for the dirty work. It was made for precision. It whispered class and thundered power. With its full lug barrel and ventilated rib, it looked like it belonged in a spy movie and handled like it came from a dream. The Colt Python didn't just raise the bar. It wrapped it in velvet and engraved its initials. But just when you thought revolvers couldn't get any cooler, bam! Hollywood enters the chat. This revolver that didn't just make an entrance. It blew the doors off the theater. Meet the Smith & Wesson Model 29, a beast of a handgun chambered in the legendary .44 Magnum, otherwise known as the go-ahead make-my-day caliber. Thanks to Clint Eastwood's stone-cold delivery in the Dirty Harry films, this revolver became an instant icon. One minute, it was a high-powered sidearm. The next, it was a silver-screen superstar with more swagger than a cowboy at high noon. This wasn't your everyday service revolver. Oh no. The Model 29 packed some serious oomph, enough to stop a bad guy and rearrange some furniture. It was loud, proud, and didn't believe in second chances. In short, it didn't just fire bullets, it fired fame. Now, let's hop across the pond. Cue the tea, crumpets, and absolute firepower. Say hello to the Webley MK6, the British bulldog of revolvers and the official sidearm of the Empire during World War I and II. This top-break .455 caliber revolver wasn't just proper, it was practically indestructible. Think James Bond's granddad, but with a stiffer upper lip and a much louder bark. British officers loved it, soldiers trusted it, and enemies? Well, they learned to respect it from the receiving end. Its top-break design meant reloads were faster than you could say God save the king, and its chunky frame gave it that no-nonsense pub brawler vibe. Sure, it wasn't as flashy as its Hollywood cousins, but this revolver was all business. Reliable, rugged, and ready to fight the Kaiser and the Fuhrer. The Webley didn't just serve Britain, it survived Britain, and that, dear viewer, is stiff-lipped legend status. From trench coats and tea to tumbleweeds and 10-gallon hats, or riding back to the Wild West with a modern twist. Enter the Ruger Blackhawk, the revolver that said, what if the old school cowboy gun hit the gym and got jacked? Introduced in 1955, the Blackhawk is a single-action revolver that took classic Western flair and gave it a serious upgrade. Think of it as the muscle car of frontier-style handguns. Vintage look, modern power, and built like a brick outhouse. Hunters love it, enthusiasts swear by it, and if Clint Eastwood's revolvers had a tough little cousin who lifts and listens to Johnny Cash, it'd be this one. It handles modern ammo like a champ, and with that rugged frame, it's not just built to shoot, it's built to last. In a world of plastic fantastics, the Ruger Blackhawk keeps it cowboy, with a whole lot more kaboom. Time to meet the little revolver that could, and still does, the Smith & Wesson Model 60, introduced in 1965. This snub-nosed sweetheart made history as the first ever stainless steel revolver. That's right. While others were rusting away, the Model 60 was shining like a chrome-plated knight ready for close-quarters combat. Chambered in .38 Special and later .357 Magnum, this 5-shot powerhouse might be compact, but it packs a punch that'll make bad guys think twice, and then rethink it again. Weighing around 1.6 pounds, it's light, lean, and perfect for concealed carry, whether tucked in a detective's shoulder holster or a civilian's waistband. It's been a top-tier backup for decades. The Model 60 is the James Bond of revolvers. Smooth, stylish, and deadly in the right hands. It doesn't shout for attention. It just shows up, handles business, and walks away like it never broke a sweat. But while the Model 60 was turning heads with its sleek modern charm, across the ocean, another revolver was writing a very different story, one steeped in grit, survival, and the smoke of war. Enter the Nagant M1895, a revolver that didn't just serve, it endured. Issued to Russian and Soviet forces from the trenches of World War I to the bitter cold of World War II, this rugged little beast was a symbol of resilience. Chambered in 7.62 by 38mm R. The Nagant was built with a unique gas seal system, where the cylinder moves forward to close the gap between barrel and cylinder, giving it a surprising boost in muzzle velocity and even making it one of the few revolvers that could be suppressed. At just under 2.5 pounds, it wasn't fancy, it wasn't fast, but it was faithful, the kind of sidearm that stuck with you through the worst and still clicked when it counted. While the Nagant soldiered on through mud, frost, and mayhem, back in the land of top hats and tailored vests, revolver design was having a moment of pure elegance and engineering genius. Cue the entrance of the Smith & Wesson Triple Lock, also known by its fancier title, the 44 hand ejector first model new century, because why have one name when you can have three? Unveiled in the early 1900s, this revolver was crafted for the frontiers. We're talking next level precision. The triple lock nickname comes from its innovative third locking point on the cylinder crane, offering extra strength and alignment. Translation, this thing shot like a laser and felt like a dream. Chambered in .44 Special and weighing around 2.8 pounds. It was smooth, solid, and oh so satisfying to shoot. This was a masterpiece with a trigger, a true gentleman's powerhouse. Now let's shrink things down and crank up the cool, because here comes the Colt Detective Special, the snub nose that basically invented undercover swagger. First introduced in 1927, this little 2-inch barrel firecracker was made for trench coats, whispered threats, and surprise twists. If revolvers were movie characters, the Detective Special would be the smooth-talking, cigarette-smoking anti-hero who always has a backup plan and a backup gun. Chambered in .38 Special with a 6-shot cylinder. Yep, 6, not 5 like most snubbies. It gave you an extra round without bulking up your pocket. It weighed just around 1.4 pounds, making it perfect for concealed carry and for slipping quietly into the shoulder holster without ruining the silhouette of your fedora and suit ensemble. Fast, discreet, and dangerously charming, the Colt Detective Special wasn't just made for the streets. It owned them. It was the revolver of choice for those who live by instinct and fired by reflex. And finally, we close out our legendary lineup with a revolver that doesn't whisper. It roars. Meet the Ruger Red Hawk, the heavyweight champ of the wheel gun world. Introduced in 1979, this beast wasn't made for dainty duels or polite standoffs. No, the Red Hawk was born for serious business. Think bear country, backwoods, and big bore bravado. Chambered in powerful calibers like .44 Magnum, this stainless steel brute was built to take punishment and dish it out tenfold. With a solid frame, a strong double-action trigger, and a weight tipping the scales at around 3.3 pounds. The Red Hawk doesn't care about subtlety, it cares about stopping power. Whether you're out hunting or just want a revolver that could survive a nuclear winter, the Red Hawk is your ride or die. It's tough, it's loud, and it's the grand finale for a reason. Because when it comes to iconic revolvers, you always save the biggest boom for last. And that wraps up today's journey through revolver history. If you enjoyed the ride, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into iconic firearms and legendary stories. Thanks for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.